Our next speaker is someone who is known to many people as she runs the communications and the external relations for Cleveland City Hall under the leadership of the 56th mayor of the city of Cleveland, Mayor Frank G. Jackson. In addition to her knowledge in economic development and also being the youngest clerk ever to serve Cleveland City Council, she's also someone who understands the importance of these international relationships. Personal story, I had the privilege in 2003 of being a German Marshall Fellow with our next speaker, and she's someone who always keeps the people of the city of Cleveland first in her heart while making sure that the world is on her mind. Ladies and gentlemen, Chief Valarie J. McCall.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
All right. When Director Felton started talking about poppy seed rows, I thought you were going to pass them out. Bring any tonight?
It wasn't in the budget, so.
Next time. I just want to say, first and foremost, thank you all for being here this evening. Joe knows this, Alex knows this, Albert knows this for sure, that the city of Cleveland's sister cities are very important sister cities to us. When we choose our sister cities, we have a vigorous process that we go through, but we make sure that we identify sister cities that we have a connection to, that we can collaborate with, that there is some reciprocating of opportunities between each of us, but honestly, because of the connections to the communities. Every one of our sister cities must have what we call a committee from that neighborhood. We were talking about doing another one earlier tonight, and I said there's some steps we do first before we even establish one, and that's to make sure that there's somebody here on the ground in Cleveland that's going to keep those activities alive, keep those bridges going, and that they come from the community, that they're not done necessarily from City Hall. I know we talked about thanking Albert, and I'm just going to throw my thank you in there because he remembers this. When the mayor first became mayor, everybody, most of you remember this, wanted, an office of newcomers in City Hall. And Mayor Jackson said, I don't want an office of newcomers in City Hall because, one, we welcome everyone. I wanted that regardless of what happens in City Hall, that this lives on, and that's where Global Cleveland came from, by Mr. Albert's leadership. And so we have a phenomenal relationship with Global Cleveland. And Joe, I have to tell you that your excitement, your enthusiasm, the leadership that you brought to bring this together, this is the first time that we have done this in the history of the city's sister city relationships. Now, we have sister cities that are active. We have people in this room, you all know who you are, that are very active in keeping our relationships going, and then really holding our feet to the fire to say, hey, make sure we pay attention to internationalism. I started this as a joke, but it's really not a joke. I don't think the mayor was sworn into office for 5 minutes yet. At the time, I'm thinking of his name, from the French Chamber, Unique, remember Unique, from the French American Chamber of Commerce, came to City Hall, and they said, Mayor, we've been having this relationship with Rouen, France, but we haven't officially signed the documents. And for the life of us, we couldn't figure out why. Well, they really twinned themselves and said, hey, we're partners with Cleveland and we're going to stay partners with Cleveland. And I have to tell you, that's a very strong sister city. We have a delegation from Volgograd. Where's the delegation from Volgograd? So this delegation, they always invite us to come to different things in Volgograd, and it's always off by timing. So they were meeting with Alex today in City Hall, and I just walked in just to say hi. I only was going to say hi and then leave. And they cornered me. They would not let me leave. They said, you're coming to Volgograd. We want you there. We have a great partnership. But believe it or not, you all know we're an age-friendly city, right? You heard that designation. You know how we became an age-friendly city? Because the city of Volgograd nominated us. Because if they have serious senior citizen programs in their community that we are adopting as well, and you all know we have very serious partnerships and relationships here with our senior citizens. And so I say that as an example to show that these are not, we don't have sister cities in name. We know we're tomorrow talking about celebrating our newest sister city. That was a relationship. They came to us and said, hey, we've been doing this for 22 years. Why aren't we twinned with you? Let's make this happen. And we're going to make that happen. And so it's important that we remember that when we're talking about sister cities and internationalism and our relationships, we're talking about an extension of who we are as people. And I've said this before, today more than ever, what we are doing is important. If we lose sight of the reason why we're here, if we lose sight of how we all got here, we're all immigrants in some shape, form, or fashion, and when we start forgetting that, then we're doing a detriment to the world. And so being here tonight, fostering these relationships and continuing this for years to come, I have to tell you, is probably one of the best things we could have ever done. And so I'm excited about what's going on. I don't want to ask Joe what he's going to have us do next year because, and I'm not looking at Elizabeth, who's sitting next to Alex, but I have to tell you, for those who traveled to be here, we really appreciate this. I told this to the delegation from Volgograd. We thank you for taking the time to come here. You did not have to, all of our delegates, and we really do appreciate you. So we're looking forward to this being a great conference, but to be honest with you, we're looking forward to a longer lasting relationship where we celebrate our uniqueness, we celebrate what makes us special each and every year, 365 days a year. And then lastly, I just want to point out, we have two, if you haven't been to the cultural gardens, okay, these are my words. The only garden like this in the whole wide world is right here in the city of Cleveland. And we have a garden opening up this week. We have another garden opening up right before New World Day. And I have to tell you that those gardens are probably one of our most prized possessions. We love those gardens. They are important to us. But we were almost out of space. We had other gardens who came to the city and said, we will share our garden so that you can have a garden, so that you can have a garden. And so when you're out and about and you're going through the city of Cleveland, go to those cultural gardens. Support the cultural gardens, because really that's the one entity that reminds us all together that we have relationships and we are an international city. So again, thank you for being here. I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to the next couple of days. And now, I'm going to take my seat at the piano and perform. Thank you.